So here's a proof where we're given two pieces of information. They're both congruent statements. We need a third congruent statement to prove triangles are congruent though. So again, we always start, label our given information. I'm given angle B is congruent to angle E. I label that on my diagram. That's one step in my proof. It's one congruent statement. Segment AB is congruent to segment DE. That's a second congruent statement. It's a second step in my proof. I look at my triangles. I only have two pieces of corresponding parts that are congruent. I need that third one. Anytime we have triangles touching at a vertex like this, this is considered a bow tie proof. Always look for vertical angles. In this case, I'll number these angles to make life a little easier for ourselves. Angle 1 is congruent to angle 2. I need a different mark on my triangles since they're not congruent to angles B and E. I'd write over here that angle 1 is congruent to angle 2, and I would see I have angle 1 congruent to angle 2, angle B congruent to angle E, and segment AB congruent to segment DE. Those are my three congruent statements. I'm ready to prove that my triangles are congruent. Go to my statements. All three of my congruent statements are up here, and I haven't had to conclude them with anything. So they're either given or one of the few things that I'm allowed to assume from my diagrams. Start with my givens. I'm given that angle B is congruent to angle E. I use the statement, then I put my reason as given. It's in my given category. I'm given segment AB is congruent to segment DE. My reason, that's also given. And in step 3, I can always immediately say that vertical angles are congruent. So I can immediately state that angle 1 is congruent to angle 2 for the reason that vertical angles are congruent. As I look at my sheet of paper, I have 1, 2, 3 congruent statements. As long as I have 3 congruent statements, I can now state that my triangles are congruent. Not until I have those 3 though. So I state my proof statement, which is that triangle ABC is congruent to triangle DEC, and I use my reason. Again, looking at our diagram, our reason will come from one of our triangles. We don't need to see both. You can put a sheet of paper, your fingers, your hand, whatever you need. Look at one triangle. And if I look at just one triangle, I see that I have 1, 2 angles, and I have a side. So it can't be side, side, side congruence, because that takes 3 sides, I only have 1. It can't be side angle side congruence, because that takes 2 sides, I only have 1. It can't be HL congruence, because that's also 2 sides and I only have 1. That leaves angle side angle congruence and angle angle side congruence. Our key is always, where's our side? Does it touch both angles, or is it on off to the end touching only one angle? Since my segment or my side is in this case AB, it only touches angle B. It doesn't touch angle 1. It has to be angle angle side congruence. And that's what I write as my reason for triangles being congruent. Angle angle side congruence.